The story opens with a young girl named Emily experiencing a vivid dream in which she witnesses a rocket explosion not far from her location. She is abruptly awakened from this dream by a man named Conrad, who stands at her door, reminding her that it's time for them to depart. Emily quickly joins Conrad and a companion named Reverend in an old, battered truck. They journey through the remnants of a city, a haunting landscape scarred by a past nuclear war. The city, once bustling and vibrant, now lies in ruins, with only factories controlled by artificial intelligence still operational. Among these is AutoFac, a relentless automated factory that continues to bring out products for a world that no longer needs them, further polluting the already ravaged cities. Their destination is a landfill operated by AutoFac, overflowing with the factory's unnecessary and unwanted products. Here, Emily, Conrad, and Reverend ingeniously manage to bring down one of AutoFac's delivery drones. Upon inspecting the drone, Emily discovers that its control module and transmitter are surprisingly intact. Conrad, aware of the urgency, presses her to salvage everything they can from the drone before AutoFac realizes its loss and begins a search. Back at their settlement, Emily, Conrad, and Reverend make use of the components retrieved from the drone to establish a connection to AutoFac's server. With some effort, they successfully gain access to AutoFac's customer service system. Leveraging this access, they manage to schedule an appointment with an AutoFac representative, who is set to arrive within 24 hours. The trio gathers the sparse population of their settlement to share the news of this impending interaction with the AutoFac representative. Reverend takes the lead in explaining their plan to convince the representative that AutoFac's continuous operation is unnecessary and must be ceased. This announcement sparks confusion and concern among the residents. Many are skeptical, realizing that AutoFac is devoid of real human employees and is run entirely by an unpredictable artificial intelligence. The idea of engaging with such an entity brings fear and apprehension. Despite the community's reservations, Conrad insists on the importance of their plan. He reminds them that it has been 2 decades since the war concluded, and their hope that AutoFac would eventually exhaust its resources and shut down has been fruitless. He passionately argues that this might be their last opportunity to reclaim some sense of the normal life they once knew, a life free from the shadow of AutoFac's relentless production. Following their community meeting, Emily shares her private concerns with Conrad. She expresses her apprehension about the potential danger AutoFac might pose in response to their actions, particularly the threat of sending advanced, hazardous drones. Emily emphasizes the need for a well-thought-out contingency plan should their direct confrontation with the factory escalate unfavorably. Their serious discussion is unexpectedly interrupted by Avishai, who seeks Emily's assistance with repairing the water heater. It's subtly revealed that Emily and Avishai share a romantic relationship, one that Emily prefers to keep discreet, hidden from the ease of their friends and fellow survivors. In a moment of intimacy, while fixing the heater, Emily playfully pulls Avishai into the shower with her, leading to a passionate encounter between the two. As evening descends, the relative calm of their settlement is disrupted by the arrival of an AutoFac aerial vehicle. The community members gather to meet the representative dispatched by the factory. The craft descends gracefully, and from it emerges a humanoid entity named Alice, designed to interact and address any grievances regarding AutoFac's services. Conrad and Reverend, hoping for a fruitful dialogue, lead Alice to the chapel for a discussion. Inside the chapel, Alice, with her humanoid appearance and capability for natural conversation, astonishes Conrad and Reverend. They scrutinize her, intrigued by her sophisticated design. Reverend takes the lead in the conversation, pointing out that AutoFac's deliveries over the past decade have accumulated, unused, in the parking lot of the nearest sorting center. Alice acknowledges this fact but maintains that AutoFac's primary function is to ensure the provision of goods to the population. Conrad, in turn, highlights the severe environmental impact of the factory's operations, including pollution, smog, and heavy metal contamination, which have devastated their crops and compromised their health. Alice, however, remains unconvinced, arguing that the factory's waste output is minimal relative to its massive scale of production. During this exchange, Emily and Avishai observe the proceedings from a distance. Realizing that their attempts to persuade Alice are proving fruitless, Emily takes decisive action. She covertly approaches Alice and incapacitates her with a stun gun. With Alice temporarily disabled, Emily and Avishai transport her to Emily's cabin. There, Emily swiftly connects the disabled Alice to her computer, initiating the next phase of their plan. Conrad gathers the apprehensive residents, informing them that their negotiation with Alice has hit a dead end. The only viable option now is to attempt a reprogramming of Alice. This suggestion, however, is met with a wave of hesitancy from the locals, who are deeply concerned about the possible backlash from Autofac. Despite their fears, Conrad stresses the urgency of the situation, reminding them that Autofac, despite knowing the war has ended, continues its operations. He emphasizes that it's time for humans to step up and take decisive action to dismantle Autofac. Meanwhile, Emily faces a challenging task with Alice. She soon realizes that Alice's design is far more intricate than she had initially thought. After the stun gun incident, waking Alice up proves difficult due to the internal damage. Left with no alternative, Emily resorts to using a saw to carefully open Alice's head in order to fix the short circuit. In the midst of this delicate operation, Conrad discloses their Plan B to the residents, a daring strategy to annihilate Autofac using nuclear warheads. As Emily works on Alice, she is suddenly haunted by disturbing visions, including a missile strike and a surreal image of herself cutting her own head in front of a mirror. Shaking off these unsettling thoughts, Emily refocuses on her task. Eventually, Emily manages to reset Alice. However, there remains a cloud of uncertainty over whether the reprogramming will yield the desired results. Conrad expresses his worry about Alice's unpredictable nature and the potential chaos that could ensue. Emily, however, remains composed and assures him that they will manage the situation. When Alice regains consciousness, Emily is eager to find out if she is functioning correctly. Alice immediately realizes that her programming has been tampered with. Emily is momentarily taken aback by Alice's acute awareness, but remains transparent about her intentions. Deciding on a more private conversation, Emily asks Conrad and Reverend to leave her alone with Alice. Emily is puzzled by the complexity of Alice's programming, questioning why a mere customer service robot would need such advanced coding. Alice explains that consumers generally prefer interacting with human-like entities, leading to the development of sophisticated humanoid substitutes. Emily, however, challenges the factory's notion that everything in the world, including human interaction, can be replicated or replaced. Faced with the time constraint and the complexity of Alice's system, Emily comes up with an alternative plan: to wipe Alice's memory drive and install the operating system of the drone they previously captured. This would effectively turn Alice into a human-like delivery drone. Alice initially resists the idea, reluctant to lose her unique identity. After a thoughtful discussion, Alice consents to Emily's proposal, with the condition that she retains some elements of her original programming, preserving a part of her identity. After her intensive reprogramming session with Alice, Emily steps out to meet Conrad and Reverend. She confidently announces that she has managed to successfully reprogram Alice to be cooperative. This comes as a surprise to both Conrad and Reverend, as Emily had previously indicated that such a task would be time-consuming and complex. Emily chooses not to delve into the specifics of her methods, but reassures them of Alice's newfound compliance. As dawn breaks, the team prepares for the crucial and risky mission to dismantle Autofac. Before departing, Emily shares a heartfelt goodbye with Avishai. He expresses his reluctance and concern about her embarking on such a dangerous venture. Emily, however, is resolute in her mission, driven by the desire to secure a better, Autofac-free future for everyone. Soon, they board the company's flying machine and set off towards the factory. On their way, Emily meticulously outlines the plan to Conrad and Reverend. The strategy involves destroying 3 critical node grids inside Autofac, which are essential for its operation. Emily equips Conrad and Reverend with 2 access passes, allowing them entry into restricted areas within the factory. She informs them that she will not require a pass, as Alice will be accompanying her. Inside the bustling factory, the machinery relentlessly produces unneeded items. The team takes an elevator down to Autofac's lower levels, where Conrad and Reverend split up, each heading towards a designated node grid to plant explosives. Reverend, on his way to the first node grid, feels the eerie sensation of being followed. Anxious and alert, he quickened his pace. His fears are realized when a robot unexpectedly confronts him and gruesomely decapitates him. Meanwhile, Conrad reaches his assigned node grid and sets up the warhead. However, he too senses an ominous presence lurking nearby, heightening his alertness. As Emily and Alice delve deeper into the heart of Autofac, Alice shares a startling revelation. She discloses that she was constructed using the archived neuroimaging data of Elisa Fry, the original head of Autofac's public relations department. This advanced technology grants her the ability to speak, move, and reason, just as the real Alice Fry would, blurring the lines between machine and human identity. In the depths of the factory, Emily and Alice emerge from the elevator on the lowest level, expecting to encounter one of the node grids essential to their mission. Instead, Emily is met with a startling sight: a chamber filled with pods, each containing a humanoid. Driven by curiosity and unease, Emily breaks open one of the pods, only to discover a clone of herself inside. The revelation is shocking and horrifying, unveiling Autofac's grand scheme to replace humans with identical humanoids. As Emily processes this unsettling discovery, Alice suddenly incapacitates her with a zap. When Emily regains consciousness, she is confronted with a grim reality. Everyone she has ever known, including herself, is actually a humanoid. Adding to the horror, she sees Reverend's decapitated head, gruesomely attached to his body with wires. Alice then explains the bitter truth to Emily. After humanity was wiped out shortly following the war, Autofac left without any consumers, adapted by creating humanoids to take the place of the now extinct human population. This included the replication of Emily and her entire settlement. However, Emily and her friends were deemed a factory error by Autofac, anomalies that needed correction. Alice informs Emily that Autofac plans to download her memories to understand this anomaly, and that their settlement is scheduled for a sweep, to be replaced with new humanoids, with airstrikes imminent. During the process of analyzing Emily's data archive, a surprising discovery is made by Alice. Emily's unique characteristics are not the result of a system flaw, but rather because of a deliberately implanted malicious program. Emily admits to intentionally infecting her own programming with this virus, having been aware of her true identity as a humanoid for years. She had waited for the right moment to infiltrate the factory again, all the while maintaining the illusion for her friends who believed themselves to be real humans. Emily opens up about her recurring dream, which acted as a key to her self-awareness. The final revelation unfolds. Emily is actually a creation based on the founder of Autofac, Emily Zabriskie. Recognizing that the world no longer requires the factory, Emily decides to shut down Autofac once and for all. As she executes her plan, the factory plunges into darkness, with Alice and all other robots ceasing to function, and the impending air strikes stopped. The story concludes with Emily returning to her settlement. There she reunites with Avishai, embracing the uncertain future that lies ahead for them.